doesn't matter if you've never played Silent Hill 2 before. It also doesn't matter if you have. Silent Hill 2 Remake's heady blend of old and new delivers the best horror I've played for years, and I suspect that will hold true even for those meeting James for the first time. So, for those who may not know, Silent Hill 2 is the second entry in Konami's storied horror franchise, but unlike the connected Silent Hill 1 and 3, it essentially stands alone. In it, you play as James Sunderland, a quiet, if broken man, still recovering from the death of his terminally ill wife, Mary, 3 years prior. Out of the blue, he receives a letter from that same Mary, inviting him to find her in the lakeside retreat they once visited, Silent Hill.
Mary?
Despite the football field-sized red flags, dude, you literally just told us your wife was dead, Sunderland does as she asks and heads to Maine. Here, he discovers the sleepy town isn't sleepy as much as it is dead, and the distant humanoid shapes twisting in the fog are not human at all. To say even a little bit more would spoil things. Even if you're familiar with the main story beats, there may be twists and surprises along the way that you don't know or recall, but over the next 20-ish hours, you'll accompany James as he scours the town, frantically searching for a wife he already knows is dead. And it won't take long for you to see another version of Silent Hill, this one broken, bloodied and bleak, sitting at its core. For beneath the ordinary trappings of a small, if curiously abandoned American town, out there is nothing restful or silent about this place at all. That's always been the magic of Silent Hill for me. Everything looks fine, oddly quiet, sure, but fine. It's only as you delve deeper, uncovering the secrets of the man, the town, and its people, that you'll realise nothing is fine at all. At one point, the empty rooms and corridors of an abandoned apartment complex twist and snap, buckling under the weight of rust and ruin. A gorgeous lakeside hotel later succumbs to dank darkness, where only mould and inhuman things grow. A lazy stroll through the town's curiously empty historical society descends into a 19th century prison where its unfortunate inhabitants were subjected to many cruel and unusual punishments. James doesn't comment on this, though. He doesn't comment on anything. Barely pausing for breath, he doesn't marvel that he's throwing himself down hole after hole after hole, yet somehow remains on the same floor. He doesn't comment on the shapes that writhe just out of sight, or how the world around him keeps rippling and changing. To coin a phrase, if you know, you know, all he seems to care about is that dead wife of his. The original game was both combat-light and a little bit short, and Bloober has addressed both these issues head-on. For the latter, the remake has opened up a slew of new landmarks for us to explore, so I devoted a lot of time picking through the streets of Silent Hill, revelling in the newfound freedom of being able to visit shops and buildings that had hitherto been out of bounds for us. This, coupled with longer levels and more places to visit, more than doubles the original 8-ish hour runtime. It's possible it runs on a little bit too long, mind. It's an incredibly subjective position, of course, but, for me, horror games are better when they're quick and punchy, throwing you somewhere new before you get acclimated to the old. Remake's elongated length means you'll stew in some areas longer than you wish to, and, coupled with some changes to boss fights, particularly towards the end, this falls just on the wrong side of frustrating. I would have preferred to have had a few more new places to explore, than simply having some of the places I already knew artificially padded out. As for combat, well, be careful what you wish for, I guess. Silent Hill 2 was outrageously easy, even on its hardest difficulty, and Bloober's edition is not. Whilst Remake doesn't exactly make combat central to the experience, at least not on standard difficulty, it sure makes it harder to adopt the typical survival horror strat of run away, run away, run away. Because of its claustrophobic tight spaces and nooks and crannies, it's incredibly difficult to retreat from a fight, and there is, essentially, no meaningful way to stealth around the place either. On top of that, most boss battles, they are all here, as well as a surprise or two, will deplete your ammo reserves with ruthless efficiency. Perhaps more egregiously still, it's often tough to finish off foes without taking damage yourself, burning through your ever-dwindling medical supplies. Yes, lying figure spewing toxic vomit in your death throes, I'm looking at you. The puzzles, though, are great. Like the original, you can disaggregate difficulty by puzzle and combat, so if you're good at combat but suck at puzzles, or vice versa like me, you can mix and match the difficulty to better suit your skills. Again, here, Silent Hill 2 Remake expertly fuses familiar with fresh. All the puzzles I expected are present and correct, albeit with often subtle twists to make them less predictable. On standard difficulty, they're maybe a little bit too easy, but I'll admit there were one or two that stumped me, but never long enough to be irritating. And all the little clues and secrets uncovered over 2+ decades of fervent community analysis, newspapers, memos, photographs, whispers, pictures, props, collectibles, are still there. But there are new things too, cementing, or decimating, long-held fan theories. I am so grateful for this attention to detail. To me, it proves that the oft-recycled adage, the developers are fans too, you know, does actually ring true in this instance. Even the refreshed voice and motion capture work and cinematic revisions mostly work in Silent Hill 2's remake's favour, only once or twice coming off as inferior to the source material. Perhaps, as you'd expect, it's how Silent Hill 2 Remake looks, sounds, and quietly tells us its story that will make it one of the most deliciously dark experiences for horror fans in years. Avoiding cheap jump scares and graphic gore, Silent Hill 2 relies on its dark atmosphere to unsettle you instead.
Yeah, I remember.
It mischievously inverts expectations, delivering silence when you may be expecting a broody score, or distracts you with things that look human from a distance but rarely are. Whilst both Resident Evil and Silent Hill are, without question, standout franchises in horror gaming, where Resident Evil is gloriously pulpy and bombastic, Silent Hill is understated and melancholic. There is no T-virus or capitalistic conglomerate here, just pain, darkness, grief. Silent Hill has never been for the faint-hearted, and Silent Hill 2, in particular, delivers a gut-wrenching story, with some truly horrific subplots that reference bullying, harassment, and sexual violence. It's to Bloober Team's credit, then, that it has delivered this sensitive, distressing story in a way that rarely feels salacious or gratuitous, and, without spoiling things, one of the game's most disturbing side stories has been thoughtfully reimagined to be much more sympathetic and carefully handled. Akira Yamaoka's genre-defining sound design is as unsettling as ever too, the perfect, and perfectly awful, pairing to Masahiro Ito's grotesque creatures that never fail, even 20 hours in, to make me jump. The world's subtle and not so subtle symbolism equally dazzles and confuses. I never, ever tired of exploring it. Poking into corners and smashing windows, collecting notes and clues and little tidbits that add a grim gloss to Silent Hill 2's mature storytelling. Not even when I was terrified. And I was terrified. A lot. Almost constantly, quite frankly. Even knowing what was coming, and knowing I'd only just saved. I'll be honest, I didn't think a remake was necessary any more than I thought Bloober could take Silent Hill 2's themes and make them work in a modern game without somehow damaging its DNA or fumbling somewhere. Never have I been so pleased to be so wrong about something. Padding and grumbling about the combat aside, there's nothing, not one single thing, I wish Bloober had done differently. How it looks, how it sounds, how it plays, how it iterates and modernizes whilst honouring its cherished source material, Silent Hill 2 Remake is as close to perfect as I could have ever hoped. And my hopes were high, my friend. And there you go, that's what Eurogamer thinks of Silent Hill 2 Remake. If you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe to Eurogamer for more videos about video games with me, yours truly, Zoe Delahunty Light. Now, I'm going to go and continue to analyse the Woodside apartments in Silent Hill 2, so I will see you lot next time.